For decades, the high-altitude airspace hovering directly above the Uinta Basin has presented an insoluble scientific riddle. Among all the anomalous sectors on Skinwalker Ranch, none has vexed researchers quite like the invisible high-altitude zone designated as the Triangle. Sitting precisely over the center of the property, this localized spatial distortion, often referred to by the team as the bubble, has routinely defied conventional physics. Every time investigator teams attempt to probe its boundaries using high-altitude drones, military-grade GPS sensors, or solid-fuel telemetry rockets, the instruments encounter erratic behavior. Signals drop completely out of nowhere, digital navigation arrays fail, and radio frequencies warp without any visible physical barrier in sight. While optical lenses, high-speed thermal imagery, and multispectral cameras have occasionally recorded subtle refractions of light bending around the edges of this floating zone, measuring its actual structural shape, physical density, and exact volume has remained one of the most elusive operational targets on the entire property. To finally break through this obstacle in Season 7, Episode 11, titled On the Radar, Principal Investigator Dr. Travis Taylor, Chief Scientist Erik Bard, and Superintendent Thomas Winterton make the strategic decision to deploy specialized Doppler radar technology. Standard camera systems rely entirely on ambient light or thermal signatures emitted by target objects, leaving invisible atmospheric boundaries completely hidden from view. Doppler radar, by contrast, operates on an active electromagnetic transmission model. By firing rapid, highly focused pulses of microwave radiation directly into the sky and listening for the micro-reflections that bounce back, the system measures both the distance and exact relative velocity of invisible atmospheric phenomena. By aiming a mobile Doppler array directly into the core of the bubble, the scientific team intends to map out a precise, three-dimensional spatial schematic of the atmospheric columns hanging over Homestead 1. As twilight falls over the Utah desert, the team hauls a heavy-duty, trailer-mounted Doppler radar rig into position along the dusty access road bordering the eastern edge of the Triangle. Erik Bard fine-tunes the system calibrations to isolate micro-scattering events, the microscopic shifts in energy density that occur when radio waves interact with localized ionized plasma, intense magnetic fields, or severe physical density variations. The large radar dish begins its operational sweep, emitting a rhythmic hum as it tilts upward at a steep 45-degree angle toward the darkening sky. Inside the command center, surrounded by real-time telemetry monitors, Dr. Travis Taylor watches the initial data stream initialize on screen. Instantly, the baseline vanishes. The Doppler array registers a massive, high-density radar echo hanging motionless exactly 1,000 feet above the dirt path, sitting in open air where optical lenses reveal absolutely nothing. What was intended as a routine calibration run transforms in a single second into an active physical tracking event, as the radar identifies a solid, structured barrier hovering silently over the ranch grounds. The Doppler radar system functions by broadcasting pulsed microwave signals and analyzing the energy scattered back from objects in the sky. Raindrops, hail, dust, and aircraft all yield recognizable radar cross-sections that experienced meteorologists can instantly classify on visual readouts. However, the data rendering on Erik Bard's screen inside the command center looks like nothing found in standard atmospheric science literature. Suspended roughly 1,000 feet directly above the Triangle, the radar array detects a defined region showing high reflectivity values, indicating a massive physical concentration of energy. Yet the sky itself remains completely clear to the naked eye. What makes this signature so perplexing to Dr. Travis Taylor is its velocity profile. Standard atmospheric layers, cloud formations, and thermal plumes drift steadily with local crosswinds blowing through the valley. But this specific radar target remains locked onto a fixed set of GPS coordinates, completely stationary, despite 20-mile-per-hour winds sweeping across the basin. As the team rotates the mobile Doppler dish to map the vertical and horizontal boundaries of the anomalous signature, the real-time software constructs a continuous columnar structure extending upward through the atmosphere. The target is not a thin, flat boundary layer or a scattered cloud of dust particles. It resembles a dense, vertical column or force field that bends incoming radio waves upon contact. The radar return registers a distinct phase shift in the reflected microwave pulses, indicating that the electromagnetic signal is being slowed down as it passes through the anomalous zone. This velocity drop strongly suggests that the invisible structure is actively altering the refractive index of the local space-time metric, behaving almost like an artificial wall or physical lens hovering right over open ground. To confirm that the radar echo is not a phantom feedback loop or an internal processing glitch within the receiver software, Erik Bard executes a series of system recalibrations while recalibrating the signal gain thresholds. Despite lowering the receiver sensitivity, the high-density spatial target maintains its precise shape and solid boundaries on the display screens. Ground personnel standing near the triangle look straight up along the vector indicated by the radar dish, but see only empty blue sky. Yet the active sensors continue to register an impassable atmospheric barrier hanging silently in place. The data clearly demonstrates that whatever constitutes the bubble possesses measurable physical properties. A localized region of extreme electromagnetic density capable of scattering microwave radiation while remaining entirely transparent to the human eye. While analyzing the real-time Doppler readings inside the command center, Erik Bard overlays the ranch's active radio spectrum analyzer onto the radar telemetry display. Almost instantaneously, the combined data streams confirm a direct correlation between the radar return and localized radio emissions. The system registers a distinct, powerful signal spike broadcasting from the very core of the radar echo hanging in the sky. Remarkably, the transmission centers right on the notorious 1.6 GHz frequency, the exact electromagnetic signature that has repeatedly plagued scientific equipment during prior high-altitude rocket launches and drone mapping flights over the Triangle sector. The real-time alignment between the Doppler reflectivity values and an active radio frequency output provides undeniable evidence that the team is not observing a passive meteorological phenomenon or a routine atmospheric inversion layer. The high-powered Doppler radar array is actively pinging a structured, energetic anomaly that responds dynamically whenever targeted microwave radiation hits its outer envelope. As the radar energy couples with the localized atmospheric structure, visual spotters positioned near the perimeter of Homestead 1 begin reporting subtle optical anomalies taking place in the open sky directly above them. Starlight and atmospheric glare passing through the specific tracking coordinates appear to warp, flicker, and bend along the perimeter lines mapped out by the Doppler dish. Inside the command center, Dr. Travis Taylor examines the structural geometry of the incoming signal returns and points out that the radar scattering pattern closely mirrors theoretical models of artificial plasma fields or contained electromagnetic force structures. The active radar pulses are not simply bouncing off an object. They are interacting with an energetic shell that actively absorbs, refracts, and re-radiates electromagnetic energy back toward the ground array. The experiment conclusively proves that the bubble is far more than a mere urban legend or optical illusion. It possesses measurable physical mass, clearly defined spatial dimensions, and a dynamic electromagnetic profile that remains hidden in plain sight until pinged with active radar frequencies. With the Doppler radar dish continuously sweeping across the static column floating above the triangle, Dr. Travis Taylor orders the immediate activation of every secondary sensor suite deployed across the ranch perimeter. If an invisible high-density atmospheric anomaly is actively deflecting microwave pulses at 1,000 feet, it should logically leave a distinct, measurable multispectral footprint along the ground floor directly beneath it. Security Chief Bryant Dragon Arnold, Superintendent Thomas Winterton, and Investigator Matty Blake quickly disperse to 3 separate observation posts surrounding Homestead 1. Each team positions high-resolution military-grade thermal cameras and specialized optical infrared imaging systems aimed straight up toward the precise coordinates designated by the Doppler radar tracking array. By cross-referencing the active Doppler readings with real-time ground-based thermal tracking, the team begins performing a multi-angle triangulation to isolate the exact physical boundary of the spatial anomaly. The thermal imaging displays immediately capture an extraordinary physical response unfolding in the night sky. Encircling the exact vertical projection of the radar column, The ambient thermal readings display a series of cold, concentric ring patterns dropping abruptly into the low 40-degree range. The air within these thermal rings is not simply cooling down naturally due to nightfall. It is actively transferring thermal energy upward along the exact geometric vector mapped out by the Doppler dish on the ground road. As the ground team monitors the expanding thermal boundaries, the Doppler interface back inside the command center registers a sudden, massive spike in return signal amplitude. The invisible target suspended over the triangle is no longer merely reflecting the microwave pulses transmitted from the mobile dish on the dirt path. It is actively amplifying the incoming radio waves, directing a concentrated beam of high-frequency electromagnetic energy straight back down toward the mobile radar trailer, causing the digital gauges to redline across the board. The sudden surge in return power overloading the Doppler radar interface sends shockwaves through the command center. Dr. Travis Taylor instantly realizes that the energy beam being redirected back down from the 1,000-foot mark is not a random reflection. It is an active, coherent response from an energetic structure reacting directly to the team's radar transmissions. To determine if this atmospheric anomaly is connected to the subterranean features beneath the ranch, Erik Bard cross-references the live Doppler coordinates with the historical seismic and ground-penetrating radar data gathered during past drilling operations at the Mace and the Triangle. The visual overlay reveals a stunning physical alignment. The vertical column mapped by the radar sits directly over the primary deep borehole location where anomalous conductive metals and impenetrable void spaces were previously detected underground. The spatial data indicates that the bubble in the sky and the subterranean anomaly below the surface are tied together by an invisible energy shaft. It functions like a massive vertical circuit spanning from deep within the bedrock up into the high atmosphere. As the team increases the output frequency of the Doppler array to probe deeper into the column, ground-based magnetometer sensors near the borehole begin reading rapid, oscillating magnetic field fluctuations. The physical measurements confirm that the experiment has opened a direct channel of interaction with the anomaly. The atmosphere above the triangle and the ground beneath Homestead 1 are actively communicating through high-frequency electromagnetic pulses. This crucial convergence of data proves that the phenomena on Skinwalker Ranch are not isolated surface events, but parts of an integrated, property-wide system operating across both air and earth. The overwhelming data collected during the Doppler radar experiment in Episode 11 marks a definitive turning point in the scientific investigation of Skinwalker Ranch. By actively probing the airspace above the triangle, Dr. Travis Taylor, Erik Bard, and the team have successfully moved beyond passive observation, capturing indisputable physical evidence of an invisible, high-density column hovering stationary in midair. The convergence of high radar reflectivity, localized 1.6 GHz signal spikes, cold thermal ring formations, and simultaneous ground-level magnetic fluctuations proves that the bubble is an active, energetic mechanism. It acts as a bridge connecting the anomalous subterranean structures beneath the mesa directly to the upper atmosphere. As night falls over the Uinta Basin and the team powered down the radar array, the telemetry displays slowly return to baseline levels, leaving the crew with a haunting reality. The anomaly responds dynamically when pinged by human technology. It adapts, reflects, and amplifies energy, operating with a level of structural precision that continues to defy conventional physics. The discovery opens up a brand new chapter for Brand and Fugal's team as they prepare their next phase of high-altitude testing and deep borehole exploration. The invisible barrier over Homestead 1 is no longer just a theory. It is a physical, measurable target that demands answers. What do you think is generating this massive energy column over the triangle? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like and subscribe button, and thank you for watching.